This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Now, if you were watching on Thursday, you'll have seen me having a little bit of a first impressions look at this little multi-effects unit here. This is the Sonicake Matribox, and this little box of tricks here was responsible for all of the guitar and the bass tones that I was using in that little demo that you've just heard at the top of the video. We'll be taking a look at exactly what settings I was using later on, but I'll just mention before we go any further that there is, of course, a full tab for that piece of music in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing it and a jam track for you to play along with yourself. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, and the link is in the description. As I'm sure you know by now, $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these additional resources that go along with these YouTube videos. A massive, massive thank you to each and every one of you who support me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are linked down below in the description. So yes, the Sonicake Matribox, this little box of tricks here, will cost you £100 or thereabouts. Wherever you buy it, basically, you can get them on Amazon for roughly that much. This one doesn't belong to me, it belongs to a student of mine called Craig, who loaned me it for two reasons, really. One, he's not very kind of well versed in finding his way around a little unit like this. I'm not really either, to be honest with you, but I think I'm a little bit further in front of Craig. So he asked me if I'd, kind of program some sounds in for him, and those were the sounds that you've been hearing in that little demo. As I say, we'll get to those shortly. And the other reason he loaned me is because he's a really good egg, and he said, do you want to make a couple of videos with it? So I said, well, yes, thank you very much. I've got to tell you, I'm really rather impressed with this little unit. I don't really usually get on with this kind of thing. The last thing I had that was even vaguely like this that I own myself was the old Vox Tone Lab ST, and even that wasn't quite as techy as this. It was, kind of turn knobs and make adjustments and then press save, and that was how you did it. This is very much more kind of squinting into a little window here. Not the worst type of interface of that type that I've come across, but you know, a lot more accessible. But it's, as I said, it doesn't really compare to how we used to set sounds up on the old Tone Lab. So if you're interested in knowing how you edit the sounds in this, well, I went through all of that in Thursday's video, so I'll link to that down in the description. But even for an old Luddite like me, it's surprisingly easy. I found getting to grips with it. There's also an explanation in that video of how you hook it up to your PC to get to record via the little USB port on the back here. So let's take a little bit of a look at what tones I was using in that demo piece that you heard at the top of the video, starting with the that kind of crunchy power chord riff. Right then, for those crunchy, power chordy, riffy type parts, I was using this preset that I created, just called it Crunch, because I couldn't think of anything else better to call it. So just pressing the parameter button and we can see what's going on in here. Nothing at all going on in the first two effect slots, essentially the pedals that would come before an amp, so we'll go past those. The amp itself is a Brit 50 JP, essentially a 50 watt plexi, and then that the cab I've got on that is a Brit 75 4x12, so basically a Marshall 4x12. A little bit of EQ going on in there just to kind of get it sort of dialed in the mix, really, and no modulation, but I do have a little bit of what's called 999 echo on there in the delay section, and a little bit of room reverb, and that was the tone you were hearing on that section of the song. Let's have a look and see what's going on with the clean chord parts. So for this, I created this preset just called it 80s Clean. Let's see what we've got going on in here. We can see that in the first effects slot, I've got a little bit of compression going on, nothing at all in the second effect slot. You can see that is turned off. The amp is a 2 Deluxe, so obviously kind of a Fendery kind of amp sound. And that's going into a 2x12 impulse response there. No equalization, but I do have some chorus on with that, a little bit of warm delay and a bit of hall reverb, just to kind of give it a big sound basically. So that was that sound. Let's move on to the kind of less high gain. I wouldn't call it clean, but let's call it clean for the purposes, the clean lead guitar parts on the verse sections. Okay, this is a little preset that I really sort of set up for doing kind of edge of breakup lead, a little bit of blues lead, but it worked really well for that sort of slightly cleaner kind of sounding lead. Let's see what we've got going on here. We've got nothing in the first effect slot. You can see that's turned off. We have got a tube screamer in the second slot there. I'd forgot I put that in, to be honest with you, but it didn't sound overly high gain, so I think I got away with it. The amp, once again, Brit 50 JP, a little bit of noise reduction there, and that is the cab I was using, and EQ, no modulation, a little bit of ping pong delay, which I tend to use on most lead guitar parts, and a bit of room reverb. So those were the settings for that sound. What we got left, I guess we've got the slightly higher gain lead tones from the two more kind of improvised solos, one in the middle and one at the end. Let's have a little bit of a look and see what's going on with that tone. So this is something I called Ballsy Lead, and let's have a look. What have we got there? Nothing in the first effect slot. We've got a JP distortion there and a Brit 800. I went for a JCM 800 sound this time. You know me, I like me Marshalls. And this little unit does a pretty good Marshall tone, I thought. Then, just because we've got a bit of gain on, a little bit of noise reduction. Then I found the best cab for this was the Halen 4B12, which is obviously, the EVH amp, the cab that goes with it. And you can hear Dougal in the background there. Let's have a look. A little bit of EQ on that. Ping pong delay again for a lead guitar sound, and a little bit of church reverb on this, just to give it a bit bigger kind of ambient sound. And that is a little bit of a rundown of the tones I was using. So those were the tones that I used for all of the guitar sounds. I just used one of the presets that's in here for recording the bass. I think it was called Motown bass or something like that. I can't remember, but there's a few bass presets in here as well, which is, handy for the home recordist. Okay, I mean, what I think about this pedal is that I'm probably going to get myself one. I was particularly impressed with how quickly I could get usable tones out of this, and I know if I put in a little bit extra work and finessed it a little bit more, I can get very, very close to my usual working sound of the Blue Guitar Amp 1 Mercury Edition that is just my go-to source of all guitar tones now. And for £100, I don't think it's worth not having one. It's a backup rig. And if ever I find myself having to go out and get up on my hind legs in front of an audience, and where things can get beer spilled on them, or kind of grow legs and wander off, that kind of thing, this would be something like this would be ideal, rather than having to lug me pedal board and the Blue Guitar Amp and a speaker cab. Just put this into whatever PA system is being used, and you're pretty much sorted, really. And as I say, for ease of programming, for the quality of the sounds, and for the price, I think this little unit here is hard to beat, and I am really, really grateful to Craig for lending it to me, and even more grateful to him for his patience and the amount of time I've had it, because I've had loads of other stuff to get done with deadlines, like those Faisley guitars that were in here that I had to get processed, and this was just on the back burner. But yeah, very, very impressed with it. I'm not saying it's the best unit of this type, because the market is awash with kind of budget multi-effects and amp modelers and that sort of thing at the moment. But this is the one that I've tried most recently, and compared to something like the NUX Mighty plug or the Moore P1 Prime, both of which do similar kind of things, but you've got to mess around with an app on your phone and all that sort of stuff. And the Moore P1 Prime just, I can't remember the specifics of why I didn't like it so much in terms of use, but I remember it not being exactly frictionless when it came to setting up sounds. This, on the other hand, is. So I think I'm going to be treating myself to one of these, because, as I say, it's not worth not having one. So there you go, folks. That is my little review and demo of the Sonicake Matribox. Roughly 100 quid's worth of multi-effects and amp modeler, and it's also got a drum machine and a looper and all manner of other stuff in there as well. I'm gonna grab one, and well, it's up to you if you want to get one on or not, but I'm going to. That's the review, folks. Make of it what you will. Hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful and informative in some small way. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars and the meaning of life and many, many other things. It's a great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.